Before Christmas, Miss Hartley received a letter which put her in quite a state, and she was reading it and just twittering when Travis came home and threw his books on the table. And she said, "Oh, Travis, they're coming, they're coming. I thought I had some months, but now they're coming just after Christmas." "Well, who's coming, Miss Hartley? Who's coming to see you?" "Well, that man with Mary Ann's heart. He and his family are all coming, and I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them." Well, Travis looked at this little old lady that had taught him to dance, and every day after school she'd come home and she had something for him to eat. And then he thought of his own grandmother, stern-eyed, following his every movement. "Well, I think we better get Mary Ann's picture out, put it on the table so you can see her when you play Christmas songs." "You're right, Travis, and maybe you could help me put up a Christmas tree and some gifts for the children." "I'll go get that tree, Miss Hartley. Now you put that picture up." "Oh, Travis, I knew you would help me get back in step. You're a good lead." So off he went to get the Christmas tree, and when Mr. Hartley came home, he said, Mr. Hartley's eyes traveled to the piano, and he said, "Hello, Mary Ann. It's good to see you there." And because of all the anticipation of getting their Christmas at the ranch seemed to be, well, not much, and they were all getting ready to come and see this new family and help Miss Hartley entertain them. And so anyway, you come back here now when they come, and so they won't think that we're just such a dull bunch of old people. So she said, okay. So even Grandpa went with them up to after Christmas to see the newcomers who had come to see the lady who had given them their heart. Well, they came up, and a shy, soft-eyed lady got out of the car and herded her 3 children up the steps. And then the driver emerged. He was an ordinary man, thin, pale, with a hesitant smile. His eyes swept the group until they rested on Mrs. Hartley. And they looked at each other a moment, and then she stretched out her arms, and he stepped forward and drew her against his chest. She stayed there for a minute, and then she looked up into his eyes and said, "It's still beating." Then he turned to Mr. Hartley and extended his hand. And then after a moment, they all got acquainted. He said, "Well, we didn't have a fatted calf to kill, but we will still all make merry, so you all come on into the house." So Travis was proud of his little sister Meg. She took the little girls in hand and would talk to them about girl things. And Grandpa was there with the little boy, Jesse, showing him how to make a string out of a ladder, out of a piece of string, and showing him all kinds of things. And Mr. Hartley was over there in the corner talking about who knows what Travis thought. And he looked at all of them, and he just felt almost angry at this stranger. What right had he to come here anyway, upsetting these old people, reminding them of their loss? All this week, Miss Hartley had been dusting things around, getting rid of him. How dare him just to sit there as he had a right to be there anyway? So Travis was getting so irritated. Since he had no place here, Grandpa was playing with the kid, Meg was there, and Mom and Miss Hartley were trying to do with the ladies. So he just walked out the door and trying to, I have no place. But when he got to the corner, he thought, well, nowhere to go either. So he turned around and started back home. And just before he got to the house, he met Mr. Rhodes, the man with the heart, coming to meet him. "Hi, I saw that you came outside, so I decided I need a little air myself. I need to move around a bit every now and then to keep things going inside me." You mean your heart?" "Yes, my heart. Their heart. Our heart. Don't want to get it to be rejected." "You mean it might reject from you?" "Well, yes, I probably wouldn't reject it personally, but it might decide just to stop on me. it would decide, you mean it's going to quit on you? Well, it may quit, but I hope not. It reminds me every morning to be grateful for the day and all the days I've had before it. It reminds me to be sure and say thank you to all the people on my list who have helped me. And that's why I just had to come out and say thank you to the heartless while our heart is still beating. What if you don't get around to saying thanks to all the people you need to? Well, for those whom I can't say thank you, I try to pass along something good in that person's name. Like an old friend, my first grade teacher, I had a hard time learning to read, but she never gave up on me. She's dead now, of course, but when I read to my children, I say, now this story is in honor of Mrs. Hatcher. She taught me how to read, and that's why I'm reading to you. And there are many things that pay things back. Just do a good thing in someone else's honor. Well, some folks do good things for you and you never know how to pay them back. Well, now that's true. But you just have to keep on passing on good deeds no matter what, in a lengthening ladder of good things. My grandpa talked to me about ladders. Says we all are climbing one. I never thought of a ladder of good deeds, but it fits. So they walked on in silence for a while, and then Travis thought he ought to confess. I really didn't like you much coming here and reminding the Hartleys of the daughter they had lost. I didn't like you at all. Well, I wouldn't have liked myself if I hadn't come. Well, that takes a big thing off of your list, I guess. The biggest thing of all is my New Year's gift to myself. The sun was almost setting when they started back to the ranch. Travis and Grandpa in the back seat, and Meg in the front. And Grandpa said, now that did seem like a nice young fellow with that foreign heart ticking along inside him. Made goosebumps all over me to think about wearing somebody else's ticker all your life. The old man said, drumming on his knees, sure made me feel goosebumps. You know he may never be able to keep it. It may quit on him. Well, all our tickers will quit on me sooner or later. I'm frequently reminded of that, Grandpa said. Well, Mr. Rhodes told me that his ticker reminded him to pass along good deeds to someone else's honor. He couldn't tell them thank you in person. He just said it for them. Did he? Well, now there you are. I thought he was a nice young fellow. He said we should make a ladder of good deeds if we just pass them on. Nice young fellow. Good ticker in him, I'd say. The moon was up before they got to the ranch, and as they passed the mesa with the little flat stones leading up to the top, Travis looked down the window and leaned out to see them. That mesa, that hill, had shrunk. The white stones almost sparkled in the sunlight. It was such a little mesa. Why, he could run up the sides of that thing in no time flat. And why had he ever thought it had been so hard to climb them? And then it occurred to him. The mesa was still the same, but he had grown. And now a new year was coming, and he was ready to tackle the rungs up that next ladder. So Travis put his head back in the window, wanted to tell his grandpa. Grandpa, he started, and then he realized that the old man was asleep. Happy New Year, Grandpa. You got a good ticker in you.